Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry. You kind of entered that one into a little bit different. It felt weird. It felt like we were doing some like late night talk show type of thing where, I can't really say it on this podcast, but...
Well, I was doing my head like this before you started, and I think it kind of threw me off.
So get your request in.
It's a 90s weekend here in Charlotte. Well, the Panthers never played the Seahawks in the 90s. You know that, Jerry?
Yes, I did.
All right. Well, we are talking about Panthers,
I was just looking up stats and everything else, so that's why I knew that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me that like an hour ago, I would know.
This podcast is off to a great start.
Just like the offense, off the rails.
Yeah, right. And it's going to get weirder in week 3, and that's what we're here to talk about. Panthers traveling all the way to Seattle on a short week to play the Seahawks. We're going to talk about it. If you did not hear our recap podcast we did on Tuesday, go check that out. We talked about some of the PFF grades from that game and everything. So typically we do go over those, at the first part of the preview podcast, but we're not going to do that today. Unfortunately, there is some news. Fortunately or unfortunately, I guess you could say. Pretty much unfortunately. There is some news. There is some news to talk about here, and it starts with the quarterback.
Yes, Bryce Young has not practiced past 2 days. Most likely will not be playing this Sunday. The Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, will probably get the start. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, look, Andy Dalton is a very good backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't think the offense is going to look any worse with him at quarterback. In fact, it may look better just because he's a veteran. He's played in, 120-something games or whatever it is. I don't want to see Andy Dalton.
No.
I want to see Bryce Young. And I was thinking about this today. Would I rather Bryce play and we lose, or Andy Dalton play and we win? And I feel weird about even asking that question because I want the Panthers to win. But I just want Bryce to be out there. But maybe it's a good thing for Bryce to sit and watch.
That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I'd kind of interrupted you. But that's kind of what I was thinking when I heard this news too is, I want to see Bryce. I wanted him to kind of bounce back. But at the same time, I thought the exact same thing. Hey, maybe he needs to sit down, kind of watch the game, and an injury so he's not benched is better than the other. Short week, roughed up last week, and throw him to the wolves.
Apparently. Like, when did this injury happen? Because he finished the game as strong as he played all season, honestly. He looked as good on that final drive as he's looked any other time. Now, we talked about it. The defense was playing soft and everything, but he looked fine. And today, I saw some practice video of him walking to practice. Didn't have a limp, didn't have a boot, didn't seem to be favoring anything. So I don't know when this injury happened, how severe it is. They're not really giving us any information other than ankle.
As someone who's rolled his ankles multiple times back in my skateboarding days and stuff like that, I've been able to continue on after I've rolled my ankle, but then like an hour or so later, it hurts. Now, I think that they probably could play him, but I don't know that. Like, if something like that happened where like later on it hurt and stuff, but they may be saying, hey, on a short week, he's looked rough. I don't want to risk it right now. And they're playing cautious.
I don't like that.
Oh.
If that's the case, I don't like treating your franchise quarterback like he is so delicate. If it's an ankle and he can move around okay and he can throw the ball, I think you put him out there. And I don't think that he is delicate. I think he is a tough guy. And if he can play, he should play. That would be my opinion. Right?
Yeah.
This season is not about going to the playoffs. This season is not about winning the Super Bowl. This season is about getting Bryce Young reps so next year and the year after and the year after that, he's good. He's better. He's learned the game. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm of two minds about it. A lot of stats have kind of come out this week that really show Bryce is not the reason this offense is having trouble, right? At least not the sole reason.
Well, I think you need to describe those because of the simple fact that most people have not seen the stats that you've shown me and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, so we've talked about the separation piece with the wide receivers, right? The Panthers have, if not the worst, among the worst group of wide receivers in terms of separation, and that's how close the defender is to them. Are they open, right, in the league? Some stats came out this week that showed the accuracy throwing. So it was like a graph where it had accuracy on one side and then like how open a receiver was on the other side. Bryce has the most accurate passes to open receivers, but the least open receivers in the league. So if you can move that open receiver box even 30%, we're probably 2-0, right? I mean, these games have been close.
Yeah.
It's a small margin of error that we're losing here. And, another stat I saw was that Bryce holds the ball. His time to throw, I think, was the third highest in the league.
And I've noticed that too, that he probably does need to start getting rid of the ball a little bit faster.
But who's he throwing it to? That's the thing, is like if you watch the tape, there's nobody to throw it to. There's nobody to throw it to.
And that's gonna rely on Thomas Brown and Frank Reich updating their scheme. I mean, I hate saying it, like I know this worked for you in the past, but you're gonna need to start doing a lot more fast drags and slants for him. I mean,
they gotta scheme these guys open, because if you're running these traditional routes and it's not working, the defense suddenly starts playing man-to-man on these receivers, which frees up guys to come rush the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing from behind, then you're going to be throwing more. I mean, we've seen 38 passes in week 1, 33 passes in week 2. More than 50% of the offense has been passes. And if the defense is able to kind of pin their ears back and go after you because they know you're going to pass and they know that they can cover your receivers with one guy each, you're not going to have a lot of time to throw. And you already need the time to throw because you guys aren't getting open. It's just a bad cycle. And like you said, something needs to change in the way the offense runs, because these guys just are not getting open.
They aren't, and that's why you have an offensive coaching staff, is to scheme them open. I mean, Adam Thielen is our star wide receiver right now, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because he's not supposed to be. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get those hard-to-get catch, good route running, not stretch of the field type of plays.
Right.
But no one else is. DJ Shark only had one game, but they didn't seem to want to go deep on him, even though there was plenty of opportunity to at least test it, and they did not want to test it.
They should test it. They should test it early, and they should test it often.
I agree, to back up that defense.
Yeah, and Shark is the guy. Like, he's the speedster on the team, and maybe he wasn't fully healthy last week. That's quite possible. He will be more healthy this week, hopefully. So maybe they'll try it this week where they didn't feel comfortable doing it last week. But he ran, what did we say, 27 routes? Something like that last week. And he had one target. Like, that feels
skewed, yeah.
It's not enough for the guy that was his favorite target in training camp and his favorite target in the preseason when he played. That's not enough. And he's your dynamic receiver. He's the only one that's going to be able to do those things that we've seen, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he only has one reception, 15 yards.
Yeah.
It was a flashy
on one target.
1 yard. I mean,
it was a good route and a good pass, but We've got Laviska Shenault, who is a very dynamic type of receiver. Again, not the fastest guy in the world, but can do a lot of different things. You're not doing anything with him. Chuba Hubbard had the second most catches in the game last week. You're not going to win like that. You're just not going to win like that.
No, you're not. Especially considering Chuba's not the greatest hands.
Right.
Running back.
Chuba has impressed me. He has done a lot with what he has been allowed to do, with his, the reps that he's been given. I am very impressed with Chuba, and all the things that I said about Chuba, I take them back because I think he's very good, and I'd like to keep him around. I hope that they utilize him more.
I was gonna say I wouldn't say I'm taking everything back, but I agree. I think he's looked good this year. And I want to see him a little bit more because Miles Sanders is not getting it done. He's doing what he's told to do, but it doesn't seem like he's seeing the field well. Well, he's not doing any cutbacks. He's not trying to make anything happen besides go straight where that gap is supposed to be.
Yeah, run the ball to the outside some. Like this offense is just not creative at all. We've complained about this type of offense before with the Panthers. And it never works. Like, do something fun.
Now again, this train has gone off the rails again, as this is the news segment.
It's okay. That's okay. Either way, yeah. So likely Andy Dalton will start. I wouldn't expect to see too much difference in what he does versus what Bryce does, but he's a very different quarterback. He's seen a lot more than Bryce has. So if he is more productive, it would not shock me.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
And not only that, I also think the simple fact that I think DJ Shark hopefully is a little bit healthier, and maybe he breaks out a little bit. And hopefully it'll be good for Bryce to sit down this week.
And if they do, if they are able to find some success with Andy, then translate that to Bryce when he comes back.
Yeah.
Let him do those things. If you go throw deep 2 or 3 times in this first half, right? Do that with Bryce. Let him do that.
Yeah, Bryce
He's got a fine arm.
Yeah. Weak arm was not on his tape at Alabama.
He's not going to throw it 80 yards, but he can throw it 60 in the air, no problem.
He doesn't have a Cam Newton gun.
Right. He doesn't have a cannon.
Yeah.
But he's got an arm that's more than good enough
in the NFL
to go deep. Yeah. More than good enough. All right. So not the only unfortunate injury this week for the Panthers. Shaq Thompson, we saw him go out last week. Turns out he's going on IR. He broke his leg. Very, very unfortunate. We saw Grugier Hill come in, and I thought did a very good job.
Yeah.
I think the PFF score for him was fairly high as well. So, in terms of replacing Shaq, I think Shaq isn't the best linebacker in the league. He's on the backside of his career. Mm-hmm. And I think Grugier Hill's going to be able to do a good job. Now, Shaq's very smart, very crafty, a veteran, knows where to be, so we could lose some of that. But in terms of being dynamic, I don't mind seeing what Grugier Hill has. Deion Jones also promoted to the active roster, a guy that we brought in the preseason we thought was going to make the roster and play a role, right? Mm-hmm. Got cut. Brought back to the practice squad, so he's going to get his opportunity now. Overall, I don't know that the defense is worse or much worse without Shaq. Is that crazy to say?
My biggest fear is
all due respect to Shaq, by the way.
Okay, no, yeah, I agree. I'm worried the biggest problem with Shaq not being on this team is that captain. Is the fact that I believe he was the one who would get the plays, translate it for the defense, and get it out to them and stuff like that. I do worry that could take a hit. Granted, I didn't see that issue last week when he went out. I don't know who took over that role, if it was Xavier Woods or someone else or Jeremy Chin. But that's my biggest fear with him being out. I agree. Yeah. Grugier Hill looked solid in my eyes. That I didn't feel like the drop off from Shaq to him was that noticeable last week.
Yeah, the defense didn't look any worse after Shaq went out. And again, this is not trying to drag Shaq or anything. We love Shaq, and hopefully he heals up and is back next year. And you know he's a very good linebacker. So, but from a strictly defense overall perspective, I'm interested to see what these other guys can do. So we've had Shaq on this team for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, he is definitely. Is he a Hall of Honor guy in a few years? You think?
I don't think.
Does he reach that level? No. Okay.
Maybe because the Hall of Honor is kind of backed up right now, but.
I mean, does he mean? Yeah, I don't think so. He doesn't reach the. He certainly doesn't reach the Luke level. I don't think he reaches the Thomas Davis level either.
Oh, I don't think. I don't think he's close on either one of those levels.
Yeah, he has the longevity, but maybe not the accolades. Yeah.
Quick question: John Casey or Shaq Thompson?
Oh, John Casey.
See, I'm just saying, like, there's a backlog. You just mentioned.
Yeah.
Some guys.
Even though John Casey, cost us a Super Bowl, arguably. All right. Like I said, we did the PFF grades last week. Check out our YouTube if you're listening on the podcast here, MeowMix Podcast. Throw us a sub, throw us a like on the video. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not subbed, go ahead and do that. That'd be great. If you like the podcast, the audio version, throw us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or whatever your listening application is. We'd appreciate it. It's the only way that we can grow, really, is you guys helping us out. So we appreciate it.
All right, now let's start looking ahead at Seattle. Now the Panthers are 5-10 all time against the Seahawks in the regular season. 3-5 at home and 2-5 on the road against Seattle.
Seems like we've been way more competitive than that. Yeah, right?
But it does, but they've got our number for the most part.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question for you for our trivia here.
Okay.
The Panthers' highest scoring total against the Seattle has been 30 points. Okay. Any guess when the Panthers scored 30 points against Seattle?
2016.
Last year.
Oh. You know what? You could have given me 20 guesses, and I probably would not have said last year.
30-24, the Panthers beat them last year. I'm trying to pull up the stats of this game, but I saw that, and I was like, I would have never guessed that.
No, that's a good one. All right, now I've got a trivia for you.
Oh, okay.
I've got a trivia question for you. Brian Burns related. Okay, your favorite guy. Brian Burns has 39.5 career sacks. He needs 2.5 sacks to move into 5th place all time in Panthers history. Who will he pass to move into 5th place all time?
5th place?
5th place. I'll give you a hint. It's not Julius Peppers.
Well, no, Julius Peppers is 1. Charles Johnson is 2. Mm-hmm. I'd assume Mike Rucker or Kevin Green.
Good guess. That's it. Kevin Green with 41.5. By
the way, that was purely like me going through
nice
the
job.
List of the...
Yeah. That's a really nice job. Dante Jackson, if he gets 4 more interceptions, he'll move into 4th place all time in Panthers history, passing Mike Minner. So, Panthers legend Mike Minner. Hall of Honor, Mike Minner.
That one's a good question.
Yeah.
I think that would be... I could see yes on that one. And
I could see that too.
Like I don't want to say like a legendary one, but like one of the old school guys, I see him being able to do that.
Like a Legends Committee entry, right? Like he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, but like 10 years later, they're like, you know what? He was really good.
Yeah,
let's give him the honor. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he
it.
made a couple Pro Bowls. You know, he was on that Super Bowl team.
The pickings are slim.
Yeah.
For like great Panthers.
Especially
and we're a young
on.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Minner, better than you remember. Not you specifically, but the listener. All right. Well, let's good trivia there. Let's look at some injuries here. Unfortunately, the Panthers have a list. Bryce Young, as we mentioned, did not practice Wednesday or today, Thursday. Likely to be out. From what they're saying, now he hasn't been ruled out officially, but unlikely to play is what we've heard from the Panthers. So, would it shock me if Bryce Young's out there? No, but at this point, seems unlikely. Brian Burns, Justin Houston, Miles Sanders, all limited practice yesterday and today with a variety of injuries. Chandler Wooten and Amari Barno both listed on the injury report, but listed as full practice participants today. Wooten was limited yesterday. So that's the list for the Panthers. For the Seattle Seahawks, much longer list for these guys. And all we have is up to Wednesday. We don't have today's practice.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I just checked before we started recording because I was like, oh, yeah, they're West Coast time. They never put it on.
Well, they've got a long list of DMPs for Wednesday, and I'm going to just run through them. Kobe Bryant, cornerback. Charles Cross, offensive tackle, left tackle, I believe. Mm-hmm. DK Metcalf, Jaron Reed, Will Dissly, Julian Love, Tariq Woolen, Devin Bush, Boye Mafe, all DNPs on Wednesday. Derek Hall listed as a full practice participant. Noah Fant, Jamal Adams, full as well. And then Evan Brown, Phil Hayes listed as limited practice participants. So some big names in the DNP column for the Seahawks.
A lot of big names, and a lot of them could not play, like Tariq Woolen, Charles Cross. Like, I just don't know how they would be able to come in. Like, a toe is a significant injury, especially for a tackle.
Yeah.
And a quarterback,
Yeah.
did not practice on a chest. I don't want to be too excited about injuries, but that's a lot of good news for the Panthers.
Those are names. I mean, DK Metcalf, ribs. Like, I imagine he'll play, but he may not be 100%, and that's good for the Panthers.
I mean, if you're a linebacker and he comes over the middle, do you take the shot at the ribs? Yes. I mean,
I think you do. Yeah.
I think you have to earmark that as something to try.
Imagine DK getting hit by Frankie Louvu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or Jeremy Chin. He can light some people up, too.
Yeah, Chin, too. So those are the injuries. Again, the Panthers have some significant ones, but not the laundry list of injuries that Seahawks have. So, all right, Jared, what are the betting odds looking like here?
Did you just call me Jared?
I said Jerry.
Oh, okay.
Jerry.
It sounded like Jared.
Jerry.
The Carolina Panthers are 6.5 point underdogs. Not that shocking. The over-under is 42.
A little higher than we've seen.
It's a little higher, but I don't think it's because of the Panthers.
Oh, I see. You don't think? Do you think the line moves at all with Andy Dalton coming in?
I don't know. The Seattle Seahawks have given up 30 and 31 points the past 2 games. Obviously, it's only been 2 games. But I was relatively shocked when I looked that up. I was like, wow. Like, normally a solid defense.
Right. Historically, you think, Legion of Boom was a long time ago, but historically they've had a pretty strong defense. So, yeah, that is interesting.
And it could be because of the injuries. I mean, I would think I saw like 3 or 4 starters on there, so...
Right. Still 6.5 point favorites, so Vegas doesn't have a very strong opinion of the Panthers in this game. But I have I'll talk about it later. But interesting. All right, Jared, let's move on to keys to a Panthers victory. I like the first one that you have here, Jerry.
Yeah, first of all, this isn't necessarily for a victory this game, but the offense desperately needs to find an identity.
Yeah.
Like when Steve Wilkes was here last year, we had an identity, a smash mouth football.
Yeah.
Even if they don't go to that, they need to kind of figure out what they do well. Because right now there has been nothing.
They run the ball well. They're ninth
they?
in the league in rushing yards per game. That's
but not rushing
something.
yards per game or attempt. I think they. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
It might be average rush per game. Let me see.
Yards per rush attempt. We are currently sitting at
fourth.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. And then ninth in rushing yards per game, fourth in yards per attempt.
I do want to say I'm wondering if Bryce Young's 26-yard run may skew that a little bit.
Maybe. But still, that's good. Net passing yards per game, 32nd.
Yeah.
So, not great. Truly one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I agree. They need to find an identity. And if it is going to be running the ball, then run the ball more. Run the ball more than you pass the ball.
And not run the ball up the teeth of the defense when it's not working constantly.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully we see something different from the Panthers this week in terms of offense. It's just not been fun to watch, so that's all I want. I just want something that's enjoyable. Next, we have win the third down, and that's on offense and defense. Again, This is a very a common one that we always have on here, but it's extremely important, and it's something that they actually did in week 1. Had they not turned the ball over so many times, they would have won that game. No doubt in my mind. Something they did not do very well last week against the Saints. So need to get back to figuring out how to stop these guys. Now there's no Taysom Hill on this Seattle team.
Thankfully.
So hopefully they'll be able to stop the run a little better than they did against them. But, keep them in third and long and keep yourself in third and short, and you'll have success.
Yeah, and again, Seattle has not been lighting it up either. They went 2-9 on their third down conversions in week 1, and I think it was better in week 2 on their win, but it wasn't great. 6 out of 11. So there's possibilities there of stopping them.
Seattle's offense has not been good. They're 25th in total yards per game, better than us. We're 28th. But they're 26th in rushing yards per game. They're 17th in passing yards per game. They've allowed only 3 sacks, so their offensive line has played well. But their third down efficiency is 20th. They're a beatable team. They're not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. So this is a game the Panthers, if you come in and play the kind of football that I think you and I both believe they're capable of playing, this is a game they could win. Should win, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go with should win because we haven't looked good at all. But
no, I would say could win. Yeah, I don't think they should win this game the way they've looked. I agree. I don't think Seattle has looked that good, but they did just beat a Detroit team I think is pretty solid. So
yeah, true. And it's still early. Like all these stats, all these numbers, like you look at them in another 2 weeks, another 5 weeks, it'll be completely different. So who knows?
And my last key play, the offensive line. And when I say offensive line, I'm talking to the guard spots, not really the bookends or in the center. Yeah. They need to play better. They were getting pushed around. They were lowest grades on PFF, and it was noticeable on the tape and watching the game live. You could tell that they were getting pushbacks. Like, I called out Taylor Moton, but after that first series, I really didn't see much.
Yeah, we saw it in the PFF grades. Yeah. Their tackles and the guards were bad. With Christensen out again, who is it going to be at right guard? Do they move Zavala back to right guard where he actually looked pretty good, and then play somebody, Cade Mays or Throckmorton or whoever at left guard? I don't know. this offensive line we thought was going to be a strength coming into the season, and it's just turned into a mash unit already, and it's just not.
Yeah, the mash unit is struggling, and
Yeah, they're not
Bozeman has
gelling.
not played his best football, but he's also coming back from that injury, so he's probably still getting back
Yeah.
to game readiness. So
Yeah, yeah, but I agree. Offensive line needs to play better, and then I'll throw pass rush has been good for the Panthers. 8 sacks already, which puts us tied for third. Get to Geno. I mean, Geno Smith has played well last year, got a good contract, but Geno Smith is not Patrick Mahomes. Geno Smith is probably a middle of the road quarterback that you can shake if you get to him, knock him down, play good coverage. You can get to him. So,
and let's be real, that has been our defense the defense has been solid. It's the offense that hasn't been. I mean, I complained about not really seeing Justin Houston the first week. He looked good last week. I mean, yes, he wasn't Frankie Louvu, but Frankie Louvu went off.
Frankie Louvu, like if the season ended today, Frankie Louvu would be an All-Pro. He has been fantastic. And he's earning a lot of money that we're probably not going to pay him, unfortunately.
Exactly. Now, I will say this. I'm looking at Geno Smith's stats for the season. Yeah, you got to hit him. You got to hit him and get him pressured. His passing rating per PFF when kept clean is an 85.3. Drops to a 44.1 under pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normal that it drops, but that's a significant drop. I mean, even
go ahead. I was just gonna say they've been throwing the ball a lot. Yep. They've thrown the ball almost 68% of the time in the first 2 games. Like that's a ton. That is a ton. So of course the Panthers are at 64. So that's also just ridiculous. But I guess when you have a quarterback as your coach, you're gonna want to throw the ball. But sorry for interrupting you there.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say it's even when you just blitz doesn't even mean you get there. It drops down to like a 60. So that's not under pressure. That's just a blitz.
Yeah. Run, get him rattled.
Yeah.
Get after him. That should be the game plan every week, in my opinion. But
I think that's the game plan most NFL teams should have every week.
Yeah.
Is hit the quarterback, rattle him.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going up against a Lamar Jackson running type quarterback here. This is Geno Smith. He's a pocket guy. Get out and run if he has to a little bit, but he's not looking to do that. So he wants to sit in the pocket and throw the ball. All right. Predictions?
Yeah. Do we want to take a short break and come right back, or do we want to?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
And we are back to do our predictions because our timer was running out, and we don't pay for Zoom.
Yeah, we need to. If anybody knows like a way to like pirate a Zoom subscription or something, like let us know.
Yeah.
Or just like a really really cheap way to do it, like a gray market, like change your country to India or something to, there's ways to do it, I'm sure. So just, shoot us an email. Before we get to predictions, we've got a beer bet.
Yes, we do. Beer bet of the week. Sorry, that was all my bad.
Waiting on you. All right. The Panthers have not been very good throwing the ball. I think we're averaging like 130 yards passing or something per game. Andy Dalton, rumored to be starting this game. We're going to set the over-under at 190 passing yards. Jerry is taking the over. I am taking the under.
I swear when you said this, you said 90, not 190. But I'll take it. I'll go with it.
Oh, did I say 90? I meant 190. I definitely was thinking 190.
I was like, yeah, I'll definitely take that over.
Okay. I thought you jumped on that very quickly. I was surprised. Okay. 190. Jerry's still taking the over. All right, let's get to some bold predictions here. Jerry's bold prediction is the offense throws for more than 90 yards.
I was really curious on that, but okay. My bold prediction is we rattle Geno Smith, and he throws 3 interceptions this week against us.
Okay. Hey, do you think that Bryce will be active?
No.
So if he doesn't play, he's not going to be like listed as the backup or the emergency quarterback.
I think he has to, unless they bring Jake Lutz.
They signed him to the practice squad. Jake Luton. They did sign him to the practice
So
squad.
they may have to activate him on Sunday.
They could elevate him. Yeah. I'm wondering, like, if Bryce is active but second string, how does that make you feel?
I would say
I hate it.
I do too. I think you have to elevate Luton.
Yeah, agreed. All right, my bold prediction is I think the Panthers do figure something out in terms of the passing game. I think Shark is heavily involved in this game. I think they're going to force feed him. I think he ends up with 10 targets, over 100 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Which doesn't sound like a bold prediction, but the way this offense has looked might be the boldest prediction I've ever made. Because, man, they have looked bad. But, yeah, I do think they get it going this week. All right, game predictions. Now, I have a bet with a buddy who was talking a lot of smack about the Panthers. He's a Panthers fan, just talking all kinds of crap. And said they were going to go 0-17. Actually said they were going to go 0-16. So that's how much he knows about football. But I told him, I said, the Panthers are going to win this game. I bet him a dinner. The Panthers are going to win this game. And when they do, I'm going to go to a very fancy place. And I'm going to make him pay for it. Panthers win this game 28-13. Blowout.
I would love that and hate that at the same time because then then the Andy Dalton.
All you're going to hear.
Yep. Bryce Young's the horrible pick, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Sea Chickens will win this game at 21-13.
You're where I was last week. For some reason, I have faith, and I made that bet, by the way, before I knew that Bryce was out. So I made that bet thinking that they were going to figure it out with Bryce. So we'll see. All right. Any final thoughts on this Panthers Seahawks matchup before we look at some other stuff here?
No, I really.
It's such a weird feeling.
It is,
right?
Because especially with Bryce out, it's like I don't want them to look too good without Bryce, just because. Then you're really questioning Bryce Young, even though his stats look good, or not stats, but.
It's one of those things. It's either the Panthers look bad and it's sort of justified, like, okay, it's not Bryce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they try a bunch of different crap on offense. Andy Dalton's good enough to make it work. And all of a sudden the Bryce haters are just crowing all week. And then if Bryce comes back in week 4 and they have another off week, like, this kid's not going to be able to catch a break from the fans. And I hate it because I think we all just need to be patient with Bryce.
I don't think Bryce is the problem.
He's not NFL ready.
I don't think the Bryce is the problem.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I mean, I agree. But I do think we need to be patient with Bryce. And just have some grace. Like the stuff that I've seen said about him.
Oh, yeah.
It's just uncalled for. It's not cool. So
he got stuck in a really bad situation with this offense being so pitiful for so many years that, people just got excited and I guess maybe also Cam Newton's first couple games, they lost, but he lit it up, so it was a different feeling.
But Cam had Jeremy Shockey, Greg Olson, Steve Smith, D'Angelo Williams, like Jonathan Stewart, I think was still on the team. Like he had weapons, and he was Cam Newton, an MVP of the league, a future Hall of Famer, likely. You know, the best player in Panthers history, arguably. You know, it's hard to you can't compare Bryce to that. Not you specifically. I'm just saying, like, the people that are, it's completely different. Completely different circumstances. Completely different. And I think Ron Rivera is a better coach than Frank Reich. At least he's proven to be over the course of history. I mean,
he's got Washington looking good.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the other NFC South games here. The Saints and the Packers play in Green Bay. Packers are interesting. Saints have won 2 games, but I don't think they've particularly looked great in those 2 wins, but hey, they're 2-0. And then the Eagles and Bucks, a matchup of undefeated guys going against each other in Monday Night Football on ABC. That's going to be a fun game too.
Yeah. I did forget to put Atlanta at Detroit.
That's going to be a fun game too.
Yeah. I apologize. I just realized that Atlanta wasn't in there.
Yeah. All those games will be good. Obviously, I hope the NFC South goes 0-3 in those 3 games.
Yeah.
And the Panthers win, and all of a sudden we're right there. But, you know, it's Philadelphia is a 5.5-point favorite over Tampa in Tampa. So Vegas does not believe that 2-0 Tampa team is real.
No, not at all. And I don't either.
Yeah. Whereas Green Bay is only a 1.5-point favorite in Green Bay against the Saints. So Vegas does believe in the Saints. Very interesting.
Well, a lot of people believed in the Saints before the season too.
Yeah.
So
I still don't believe in them.
I don't either.
I think they're like an 8-win team, but we'll see. That could be enough. All right. I think that's going to do it.
Yep. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
We'll be back Sunday evening. This is a 4 o'clock start, so we'll be back Sunday evening to talk about the Panthers' victory, hopefully. But we'll be here either way. So until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.